It's time. It's another venting session. We've got, an esteemed alumni in Kris Johnson. He has got the bling. He's got the banner. While we do talk about raising the banners in Pauley Pavilion, we do have to certainly raise the level of UCLA football's respectability across the country, because we thought Nico Iamaleava was going to be the dude. We thought Tino Sunseri, they were going to survive, at least make it close, entertaining. It's one thing to lose 43-10. You can also lose 45-42, and I think everybody would have been happy. 45-35, and you'd be talking about defense, and that'd be another conversation. But the way that it went down, of course, I'm partially to blame. I was hoping they'd win, thinking that, the quiet, the special, all that was going to go. It did not happen that way. And then DeShaun Foster comes out and says, we're close. Close to what? Not the best statement said by a head coach who's still growing in his, coaching career. You think about a coach who's not been as, studied in the media. Tell me your thoughts, Kris, an alumni. You participate in the media, with Here District, those 4 letters. You got a voice. You've been a champion at UCLA. How embarrassed were you? Did you have the paper bag, over your head like the embarrassed fan bases are? They put the bag over your head. You're like quivering with embarrassment. What do you think?
I think the Falcons fans started that back in the 80s. But no, for me, I've lived through so many heartbreaking UCLA football performances that there was part of me that, as positive as I tried to be, as sunny side as I tried to look at everything, I just kind of felt like, maybe there would have been a possibility that we could have came out and threw up a stinker. Now, I didn't think that with 55 new players, 8 new coaches, and all this sort of hype surrounding the offense, the quarterback, and everything like that, I didn't think we were going to get pushed around the way we did with Utah. But I also thought the guys would show a little bit more heart. I mean, look, it's one thing to lose, but then it's another thing to lose the way we lost to Utah. There weren't a lot of bright spots for me. I know that in Coach Foster's press conference, he kind of, played the Monday morning quarterback, went back, watched the film, probably pinpointed some areas of improvement, looked at the specific nature of certain plays and things, a missed block here, or technique there, and felt like guys could have corrected themselves and been a lot better. But at the end of the day, it's all about winning. And I think also that what we're getting and what Coach Foster is kind of feeling is the heat of a football program in the NIL era. I mean, when you get 55 new players and guys are getting hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars to play football, there's a level of expectation. There's a level of expectation about the UCLA football brand and how the brand represents itself on Saturday. And the brand did not represent itself on Saturday very well. We look like the laughingstock of college football. And it doesn't make matters better when, your fan base, your UCLA fan base has really had it up to here. And I don't know how fair it is to have it up to here with Coach Foster after one season. Like, I get it. 5-7 showed improvement the second part of the season. But just the overriding consensus is like people feel like he's in over his head. I don't agree with that sentiment, but to read this stuff and to hear voices that I respect echo these sentiments, it's kind of, you kind of get a little like, wow, is it that bad? And then you have to look. For me, I'm still not going to judge him off of one game. We lost to Indiana in the season opener last year, ended up showing this team was a lot better than what we saw defensively. Our defensive coordinator moved some people around. He threw big fella down on the edge and he moved Carson out, I think, to the different linebacker spot or whatever. And it kind of changed the dynamics of everything for the rest of the season. I don't know if UCLA has the type of talent on the defensive end to make those type of adjustments that will impact the season. That's the only thing. The defense situation looks dire. It looks dismal. Now, can we turn it around? Next week, UNLV, team that, they won 11 games last year, but kind of struggled a little bit this year. They got a coach, Dan Mullen, that's pretty good, very experienced, very, high-level guy in mind. So that's going to be a great matchup. Then New Mexico, team I watched against Michigan for about 2 quarters. That's not going to be an easy game.
We thought that would be easy. It's not.
That's not gonna be an easy game. All right, I take everything I said about New Mexico back, bro. I take it all back. I watched them, and I watched how they gave Michigan issues. That offense moving quick, the spread, they're spreading you out, they're moving fast, they're throwing. The guys are on the same page. Timing is impeccable. UCLA, look, if we're gonna not have no defense, if we're gonna look like we do on defense, we need to get this offensive timing down. We got to get the sharpness, the crispness, the me and you are here-ness on offense from our quarterback to his main targets. You saw, who was it? It was only really Anthony Woods was the guy that
and he was out of the backfield making plays.
And those are the easier guys. I mean, so what does that tell you? So now if you got a guy that you can only hit coming out the backfield, what is that telling you about where your quarterback is in his development as far as downfield and looking and having the confidence? It's like Nico didn't have the confidence to do nothing. A lot of that is the offensive line. Utah, I read or heard, they're up front, like on both sides of the ball. Like those dudes outweighed us by like 40, 50 pounds. All that to be said, Utah is a lot better team. I think people are getting credit for. People are acting like we lost to Ball State or something like that. This is a very high-level team that could potentially win their conference and be in the mix towards the end of the season. But to do that, opening night, stick it up at the Rose Bowl in front of 35,000, just not the start that you were expecting for DeShaun Foster for 25-26.
Yeah, you don't really help what is the current apathetic situation from the UCLA fan base by having 2 straight stinkers in home openers. Now, the funny thing is, could it be a similar situation to last year where Indiana, I feel like it's almost been a little forgiven for DeShaun Foster's home opener. It's kind of forgotten because Indiana went to the playoff and made it and was like, oh, wait, they're legit. So if Utah goes out there and turns into a top 10 team, it's going to sting, but I wonder if it'll be forgotten as just 2 back-to-back years where that's where the preseason hype or lack thereof didn't match what the team actually was. Yeah. And that's, Utah was supposed to be the top team in the Big 12 last year. Didn't end up being the case. But there was some positive signs. Like they played much cleaner football in terms of penalties. The offense looked much better than it did with Eric Bieniemy. And how can I say that with 10 points? You just saw small, subtle signs. There's good plays. Like even though they couldn't run the ball, 4th and 1, Utah very strong on the D-line. UCLA got first downs. Whether it was running with the ball, sometimes a Nico scramble, there were some good play calls. Like it wasn't like truly terrible calls. I think Tino knows what he's doing, but this is where Chip Kelly, we should draw our ire towards Chip Kelly. You should go buy out tickets at the Raiders games and yell at Chip Kelly in UCLA gear like we didn't get to do when he was at Ohio State because he won a chip and left. He dipped. He did the old chip and dip. And we're like, man, this is where the talent has gone on the defensive side on the O-line because he said, I don't want to recruit. And this is the year DeShaun Foster has to literally survive this year with his job. And I think the recruiting class for next year can hopefully start a wave of, if they keep these guys, they attack the O-line and the D-line in recruiting. They just got to keep them committed and just make sure he doesn't get fired. That's literally the goal at this point with improvements, because I think the reinforcements are coming. They're just young and a year or 2 away.
But why do you think that the fan base is pretty much feeling like they're done with DeShaun Foster, considering everything that you just laid out?
I think the big thing is, there's a lot of hype for Chip, and I was trying to buy into it as long as I could. And then it was clear, let's cut this guy. We have to get rid of Chip. And for me, that was losing to an ASU team that was god-awful. Not the good one last year that won the Big 12, the crappy one that didn't literally have a quarterback, and UCLA was losing to Swing and Gate with a dominant defense and couldn't score, and Chip couldn't do anything. The vaunted offensive coach couldn't muster up a good run game, and when the UCLA didn't fire him after that game, or after a dismal Cal performance, and they let him leave, think about that last offseason. How many big-name coaches switched? Like Kalen DeBoer went to Alabama. That left Jed Fish changing. That left so many wrinkles changing. There are so many good names. Maybe UCLA could have had a Jonathan Smith. I'm not sure if he's dominating at Michigan State right now to the point where we'd want him, but there were so many opportunities to go get somebody big name that it just seemed like we settled and let things happen. And the whole point of moving to the Big Ten was to be proactive and not reactive. And UCLA just sat on their hands, didn't do anything, and here we are with DeShaun Foster, who I think gets it, but was put in a horrible situation to understand what was wrong, but be put as the head man. I think he could maybe figure it out, but that's a lot to change with horrible fan perception, a terrible taste from Chip, And it's like a day old stale chip late, like in the sun for 20 days, stale, like awful. That's what we're with this taste. And DeShaun Foster, like,
Yeah.
he's in over his head in terms of the situation he was handed. Not that he's not qualified. I mean, he clearly didn't have the pre-pedigree that you needed on his resume. But, will he have the chance to stay in the job long enough to earn that right? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, as long as Martin Jarmon is AD, I think DeShaun Foster is going to be head coach. So unless the president,
this is a Julio Frank decision.
Unless Julio Frank fires Jarmon, then we're not going to see any changes anywhere. So I think that so because of that aspect, I think that patience is required. I think that a level of, I get the frustration, but to me, it just seems like it's missed. I mean, look, I understand everything about how the team look, how unprepared they look, the coaching and all that. But again, if we're going to judge DeShaun fairly, we need to judge him fairly. The things you laid out, what you're talking about, what he inherited, the way that they left the cupboard, if you will, it put him further back than anybody could have anticipated. I'm not trying to make excuses, I'm not trying to make excuses for DeShaun Foster, because I do feel like that this offseason and going into this season, we should have had a better, more game-ready product, first game of the season ready product to go out there and compete against Utah. I'm definitely in agreement with that, but I'm also not in agreement that, hey, we got to get a new coach, start over, rebuild. This guy's never going to get it. I mean, you got to give this guy at least another season and then figure out this offseason what's going on. So for me, I just feel like piling on Foster, not supporting the program, being salty about some of the decisions or missteps that he might have made, and turning that into a ha, you're losing, and making jokes and just really unproductive, agenda-driven garbage. Just like it's not necessarily what your fan base wants to do when you're trying to support and win. Because at the end of the day, you want that team to win games, and you want to make a bowl game, and you want the best possible outcome for the student, for the athletes. So keep the eye on the prize and don't jump off the ship just yet. Give the guy a chance. We got another game against UNLV. We win 2 straight. We're 2-1, headed into, is it Penn State?
Oh, Northwestern. That's
very winnable Northwestern game out there. So then we could be 3-1 headed to Penn State, and obviously, it just depends on. I'm not going to say that again, but let's just take it one game at a time, okay? And we're worried about UNLV. I think we have a great shot to turn this stuff around, and the players will show their true selves.
The other thing is you need complete buy-in from the fan base, because even if DeShaun's not the guy, the job has to be attractive. Like, it has to be attractive. Like, you need to be. It has to enough work has to be put in that maybe DeShaun can lay the groundwork, right? Chip ripped it, but if DeShaun's building something, then they will realize, hey, UCLA is cool. When it wasn't cool for 6 to 7 years under Chip, from 2018 to 24, right? That was just UCLA forgot about SoCal recruiting or even caring about recruiting at all. DeShaun has literally, pun intended, fostered relationships again that he had to restore. But does it mean that it's going to lead to X's and O's and dubs? I'm not sure, but I like what he's done with the offensive coordinator hire, how he said, screw it, we're going to go with the haters, we're going to get Nico. Bring it. He's going for the right things. Now, does he say the right things? No, because we're close is not the way we wanted to hear after the UCLA opener. That's not the right thing. So that's his lesson. Don't say we're close. He's got to learn. And obviously he has a lot to learn. He's not the most loquacious fella. I feel like he's done a lot of rights, but I totally agree with you. We can't just be calling for his job after 13 games. It could be ugly, but he turned it around last year to respectability after what we could have realized was a disaster in week 2. That's my thoughts.
I agree.
And that's a champion. That's a banner-raising Bruin right there. He's not be right back. Banner-raising Bruin, new meaning to BRB right there. And Kris Johnson saying, hey, he played his years. He was there. He battled. You go through some hard seasons. Not everyone ends in a banner. And the fun thing about college football, maybe less so now, you could still have a fun college football year and enjoy it because of all the bowl games. Now it's becoming less with the expanded playoff, but you could still have a fun college football year and be like, we've grown.
And those guys get a lot of gear and swag at those bowl games. PlayStations, Xboxes, whatever you want. 50-inch TV screens, Beats headphones, So I would, that's the goal. You want the swag at the end of the season.
Yeah, and we want our swagger back. We want our swagger back.
That's gonna be tough.
We need it, and we need to stay together.
Nico got to establish it. Nico's got to establish the swag of UCLA football. It starts and ends with Nico.
It does, but he is a very quiet kid. So I hope he takes his swagger from his team.
He was wearing pajamas in high school, so why not bring some of that back out? To UCLA, bro. Come on.
I mean, I wear pajamas everywhere too. That's just coming.
On the field, with some Uggs.
Yeah. Well, he's got to bring that swagger, bring the fashion statement. Like
That's
you had the watch you wore at Big Ten Media Days. Bring it and put that together on the field. And I think there's reason to believe UCLA can still win a couple of games.
Where was your Biletnikoff winner, Gilmer? How did he play? Do you have an update? You have an update on the Biletnikoff winner?
He had a couple catches, and I think he rolled his ankle in the first half, or coach said he rolled up on it. No catches in the first half, and then came out of nowhere. Like you got to back up the talk.
Come on, Gilmer. Come on, Gilmer.
Let's go. So we're still we're foolishly optimistic. I still believe there could be some fun in this season. Now, if it's 3-9, I might join very heavily on the. It might be time, but this is the season where the cupboard was bare defensively. Like the talent is very much gone on the defensive side, and it's all hoping on Ikaika Malloy. So much pressure on him that I don't think is fair, but it is.
But that's why they're paid the big bucks. That's why they're paid the big bucks. Okay, that's why you're paying that guy what you're paying him. You're trusting him, and he's got to pull something together.
They got to
get it done.
Just give up 28 points. Give up 28 points a game and force a turnover, and then UCLA could be in so many more football games. Be a different story if it was like 28-25 versus 43-10. You give that decrease in points per game, that could be very, very fun if the offense figures it out. That's where it's Tino's job to hopefully figure it out, protect his quarterback, and the quarterback, Nico, as you mentioned, has to make plays, has to make the moments, and make the most of this opportunity at UCLA, whether it's for 1 year or not.
Last thing on DeShaun Foster and his lack of loquaciousness in his presser. What he said, I would try to figure it out because it was baffling. And I'm wondering is he speaking to his team or was he really speaking to the fan base? Like it sounded like a statement that he made. He might have just gotten out of film with the guys, gave him like a super inspirational speech, understood that the guys were in the doldrums mentally, physically, whatever, and is trying to show them there's a light at the end of the tunnel. That's the only thing that I could think of why he would say that in a public setting, is so that he's sending a message to his guys. I hope that that's the reason why he came off like that, and I hope that the guys respond.
Because sometimes the coach has to take the heat, and he is taking the heat in an interesting way. But if it works, it might work very well. If it doesn't, it'll be a long season. That's why, Chris, we still got our hands up. And we still A-clap. It's, sometimes it's tough to be a Bruin. Sometimes it's fun to be a Bruin. Sometimes, hey, I don't know what I'm stewing, but it ain't beef.
I don't know what I'm doing.
All right. Let's get this going. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. UCLA. UCLA, fight. This has been Locked On UCLA. Once again, thanks again to Kris Johnson, 95 national champ, longtime Bruin. Those 4 letters, check out his write-ups, his podcast, everything he does on those 4 letters. And hey, Here District with his dad, another UCLA legend. Very entertaining. Even if you don't like the Bucks, it's very entertaining. So go check out his stuff and on social media. So Kris, thank you once again for coming on the show.
Thanks, Zach.
And Zach Anderson-Yoxsimer, I'm saying this has been Locked On UCLA. Check us out next time. Go Bruins.
Whew.